Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. You think you're poor because you have nothing? Not. You're poor because you think like a slave. Machiavelli warned, poverty isn't a lack of money, it's a lack of power, and the truth is brutal. The world doesn't pity the powerless, it feeds on them. The moment you start begging for sympathy, you're not asking for help. You're announcing to everyone that you can be controlled. You see, society raised you to fear scarcity. They told you to stay humble, stay quiet, and stay grateful for crumbs. They told you to pray for a better life instead of building one. And while you waited, the powerful moved in silence, taking everything you were told to wait for. That's how they break you. Not with chains, but with obedience. Not by taking your money, but by taking your mind. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Men are so simple and so subject to present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived. When your reality becomes dependent on approval, you're already conquered. When you believe poverty is permanent, it becomes your religion. But here's the truth you were never supposed to hear. You can be broke and still be powerful. You can be surrounded by scarcity and still act like a king. Because kings are not defined by gold. They are defined by control. The real battle isn't about wealth. It's about dominance over your own emotions, your time, and your energy. A man who controls those controls everything. So stop saying, I'm broke. Start saying, I'm building. Stop saying, I have nothing. Start saying, I need nothing. Because when you stop seeing yourself as a victim, the world stops treating you like one. This is not motivation. This is war. And today, I'll show you how to think like power, even when the world calls you poor. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My mind is my wealth. Number 1. Poverty is a mind virus. You're not poor because you have nothing. You're poor because you've been trained to think small, to kneel mentally long before life ever forced you to. Poverty begins as an infection in the mind, a virus that rewires your thoughts to obey, to settle, to accept mediocrity as destiny. The world doesn't have to chain you if your mind is already enslaved. Society calls it humility, but it's really psychological submission, the quiet belief that you were born to serve rather than to command. This belief spreads through your habits, your words, your posture, until you start apologizing for wanting more. The poor man's curse is not his lack of resources, it's his worship of limits. He looks at power and convinces himself it's evil because deep down, he's afraid he'll never have it. That fear becomes his master. Machiavelli once said, "He who becomes a master of a city accustomed to freedom and does not destroy it, will be destroyed by it." The same applies to your mind. If you don't destroy the weak thoughts that rule you, they'll destroy your potential. Every time you tell yourself, I can't, every time you envy instead of strategizing, you feed that virus. You give away the throne in your head to doubt, to comfort, to fear. The system thrives on this weakness. It wants obedient workers, not powerful thinkers. It rewards compliance and punishes rebellion. And the moment you start questioning why you live like a servant, they call you arrogant. But arrogance is not your enemy. It's the first spark of self-respect. The mind that refuses to bow is the mind that begins to rule. Dark psychology teaches that control always begins with perception. If you see yourself as less, the world will treat you as less. You project poverty before you ever experience it. Your energy tells people whether they can dominate you. That's why the rich can lose everything and still rise again. Their minds never learned submission. The poor, on the other hand, could win the lottery and still think like victims. They would waste fortune trying to look rich instead of learning to stay powerful. It's never about money. It's about mindset. When your brain is programmed to depend, you will always kneel before those who appear stronger. Break that program. Stop seeking rescue. Stop believing anyone will come save you. No one is coming, and that's your advantage, because once you accept that, you become unstoppable. You stop asking for permission to rise. You start moving with silent intention, and the world begins to shift. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, your mind reclaims a piece of its power. Every time you reject self-pity, you silence the virus. Poverty is not in your bank account, it's in your thoughts, and only you can burn it out. You must see yourself as dangerous, as capable, as unbreakable, because the mind that refuses to kneel can never be owned. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My mind bows to no one. Number 2. Power is a performance. The world doesn't reward truth, it rewards dominance. Most people never understand this because they're addicted to appearing honest instead of appearing strong. But Machiavelli knew that appearance rules perception, and perception rules power. When you look weak, you invite predators. When you act helpless, you signal permission to be controlled. People aren't kind, they're calculating. They measure you silently, reading your tone, your eyes, your posture, searching for signs of fear or doubt. The moment they find it, you become prey. That's why power is performance. You must play strength until it becomes real. You must train your face to show certainty even when your heart is burning. The powerful act unshaken because they understand one brutal truth. The world cannot tell the difference between confidence and reality. If you look untouchable, you become it. Machiavelli once said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." He understood that most men are guided by appearances and that illusion often outweighs truth. This is dark psychology, the manipulation of perception to control outcomes. The average man shows his wounds. The superior man hides them like secrets. Even in chaos, he stands still while others tremble. That calmness terrifies the weak because it breaks their illusion of control. Never look defeated, even when you're bleeding. That's not lying, that's strategy. You wear confidence like armor, so your enemies waste their strength attacking your surface while you quietly rebuild behind it. The moment you look helpless, they stop respecting you. Respect is not given to the vulnerable. It's given to the man who can make others doubt his limits, and that doubt is your weapon. In a room full of talkers, be the one who watches. When chaos erupts, speak last, move slow, hold your gaze steady. The man who appears composed controls the tempo. Weakness is not just physical, it's visible through emotion, reaction, and tone. If your face reveals panic, you lose before the fight begins. Confidence is camouflage. It hides your insecurity and blinds your rivals. Use it with precision. Let people assume you know more than you do. Let them believe you have allies they cannot see. Let them overestimate your strength. It's better than being underestimated. The world worships images more than reality. That's why kings wear crowns even when their kingdoms crumble. They understand that power lives in the performance of authority. You must build that presence even when your pockets are empty. Stand tall, speak less, control your body language. You don't need luxury to command attention. You need composure. That's what separates men who lead from men who follow. Every look, every gesture, every pause, it's part of your act. You're not pretending to be powerful. You're conditioning others to treat you as such. Once they do, you start believing it too, and that belief reshapes your destiny. The poor act small because they think small. The powerful act grand because they refuse to be anything less. Never look helpless again. because the moment you do, the world will prove you right. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I perform power flawlessly. Number 3. The poor man's trap. The greatest poverty isn't financial, it's emotional dependence. Most people aren't chasing success, they're chasing approval. They need to be seen, understood, accepted. That's the poor man's trap. It looks harmless, but it drains your power faster than hunger ever could. The moment you need others to validate your worth, you hand them control over your identity. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He said, "It is much safer to be feared than loved if one must choose." Why? Because love depends on others, but fear you can create yourself. Validation is a leash disguised as comfort. When you seek it, you're announcing that your emotions are for sale, and the world loves buyers. It gives them nothing and takes everything. The weak talk too much, explaining their motives, defending their pain, begging to be understood. But the powerful understand silence is sharper than speech. Silence forces people to guess. Guessing makes them uneasy, and unease equals respect. The poor man confuses noise for strength, thinking that if he keeps talking, people will finally believe him. But in truth, every extra word is a confession of insecurity. You can always recognize weakness. It seeks understanding. Strength doesn't care. Strength doesn't explain. The lion doesn't justify its roar. The world already knows what it means. That's how you must operate. Every time you beg to be seen, you lower your value. Every time you explain your pain, you lose leverage. The poor crave attention.